As temperatures drop, alligators in the South employ a rarely observed adaptation, a state known as brumation, the reptilian equivalent of mammal hibernation. Alligators' heart rate can drop to almost an undetectable level. Only their snouts and front teeth poke through the ice. It allows them to breathe. So alligators' body temperature decreases, so they're using less energy. These behaviors are largely hardwired into their genetics. Could that also be true to some extent with humans? There's a lot of data that supports the behaviors and emotions that a pregnant woman goes through and how that can be transferred to the fetus. It's very interesting to me how deep maybe patterns can go. I had trauma as a kid, or my parents weren't dreamers, so I'm not. But what if, even if you figured all that out, there's deeper patterns and you'll never understand those. So is it then most incumbent upon us to just build from where we are? The key to life is adaptation. You create a new structure. That structure takes you to the new level. I didn't learn those, I created them. And then I prayed for blessing and vision. For me to go make $10 million a year, that would not be the same patterns, thoughts, behaviors, and habits and routines as the guy making $1 million a year. It's all about the structure you build. What thoughts and behaviors do I need to continue to take with me? Which ones do I need to adopt or adapt? And which ones do I need to drop? What if rather than trying to analyze everything that's happening to you, you accept something, that there was a reason it happened? And the most important part of life is figuring out what that reason is. And no matter how successful you are, there's a bigger mission, there's a bigger calling. Somebody needs you, and that's why you're still here. And I can promise you, you're not gonna win by looking back at past games that you won or lost. You gotta be fully present and have a vision for your future. All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm really excited about today. Let me ask you a question to start out. Do you think you're playing chess or checkers with your life right now? You know, so many people, most people are playing checkers. They're just one move at a time, responding through life, reacting through life. But I find the people that win create patterns and behaviors, and they're playing chess. And if you're a checker player and you're playing against someone playing chess in business, in life, in happiness, in anything, you're going to lose. So the key is to play some chess. The other thing I always talk about is going to lead to something today. I'm going to read you an article about something that just captivated me recently. And when I read it to you, I want you to think about it through the human perspective, not through the animal perspective. I'm going to read it to you through. But I've said many times that in life, most things with our children is caught, not taught. And when you were a little boy or a little girl, you caught a whole lot more than you realize. And what you caught as a child, good or bad, is impacting you to this day. You caught a certain set of emotions, a certain way of thinking, certain patterns. And once you have those patterns, there's so many of them that if you spend your life like so many people are right now, just analyzing themselves over and over and over again, you'll spend your whole life analyzing your life and no part of your life living it. And so I'm not suggesting in life that, you know, self-awareness and analysis and reflection isn't valuable, because it's incredibly valuable. And I talk about it on the podcast a lot. But what I'm finding as I travel and I speak and I coach more people is that that has been taken to an extreme now where so many people are just constantly in analysis of themselves, analysis of their problems, analysis of the way they behave, analysis of their childhood. They're spending all their time in this mode because they caught so much as a child. And so since they're aware of this, they're constantly in analysis mode, and that causes them just to react through their life. And so they never get a life plan. They never get a strategy. They don't have a routine that serves them. They're playing checkers. At the end of your life, when you play checkers and you're playing against someone who's playing chess, it's going to be checkmate. We got to play chess with our lives. We've got to be more strategic. We've got to have more of a plan. We've got to have more calculation, critical decision-making to live a great life. A great life is through blessing and through our own design. And if we're spending time always in reflection, always looking at ourselves, always on autopilot, and there's a lot of autopilot, it may even go deeper than you realize, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. What if the autopilot you run on is even deeper than you, maybe even deeper than your childhood? And if you're spending all your time trying to undo that, you may get to the end of your life and it's never happened the way you want it to. And so at some point, you got to start to take control back and realize, yes, you're going to have to override some patterns. And even ones that have got you, those of you that are listening to this or watching it today, and you've decided to share this episode with someone who's successful, If you're successful already, those patterns and behaviors that you currently have got you where you are. Congratulations. But they're not going to get you where you want to go. Where you want to go is going to take a new set of patterns, a new set of thoughts, a new set of behaviors that are elevated beyond where you are now. It's a different chess game from where you are. So no matter what stage of life you're in, whether you're struggling, you're looking for a comeback because you've had a setback, or you're just sort of floating around and nothing's really moving, or you're someone who's had some level of success, no matter what level it is, to get to the next one requires new thoughts, new behaviors, new patterns, new habits. So we're going to talk about this today. You know, I've debated for a long time. Let me read you the article first, and then we'll talk about what the debate has been for me. Recently here, I learned something about animals, particularly alligators, that surprised me. And on the East Coast here recently, the weather's been very, very cold. In some places, like never in 100 years type cold. And so there was an article that I saw on USA Today, and it was the same article was published in the Palm Beach Post about alligators recently. And it got me thinking about this concept of cellular memory. And I'm not even going to tell you, I'm not a scientist. I can't tell you that I know cell memory's for sure real, but I'm beginning to believe that there's something to this concept of our cells having a memory about certain behaviors or patterns. All you have to do is kind of look at animals to see this. And so it's a thought worth considering. And even if it's not real, the concept applies to what I'm going to cover here today. Okay. And so here's a quote from the article. In a captivating display of nature's resilience, videos and photos of frozen alligators in North Carolina and Texas, by the way, also Florida recently, have taken social media by storm. Dubbed gator sickles, these reptiles are seen with their snouts and mouths sticking out, sparking a mix of fear and amazement as the rest of their body is submerged in ice. While the sight might be alarming, experts assure us there's no need to fret. The alligators aren't dead. Rather, they are exhibiting a survival instinct. As temperatures drop, alligators in the South employ a rarely observed adaptation, a state known as brumation, the reptilian equivalent of mammal hibernation. See, these alligators actually submerge themselves in this freezing cold water and stick their snouts out. And there's a reason they do it. So here's how brumation works. And by the way, when I share this with you, I don't want you to think about alligators or animals. I want you to think about humans and the application of this potentially, because it fascinates me. If cellular memory is true, then it's happening to humans. And even if it's not accurate, which I have a tendency to believe it is, the pattern applies. So here's how brumation works. It slows metabolism, and alligators' metabolism slows when the ice crystals form. So many of these alligators, you guys, were never born when it was cold out. So they've never experienced this before. They didn't learn it from their mom or dad. They just innately know to do this. I want you to think about that. They didn't learn this. So where's it come from? How do they know to enter the process of brumation? How do they know it? Because they've never seen it before. The temperatures have never been that cold before while they've been alive. Yet they behave in a particular way. They fall into a certain set of predisposed patterns, even though they don't even remember ever seeing it before. So not only was it not caught or taught, it was neither. They were born with it. So what they do is they're suspended in water, and the alligators' bodies become suspended in frozen water with their eyes closed. Isn't that fascinating? An alligator. And by the way, on the podcast, on the video, we're showing the videos of this and the pictures just so you can see the validity of it. And what it does is it reduces their heart rate. Alligators' heart rate can drop to almost an undetectable level, but they're not dead. And their snout and front teeth actually are exposed out of the water. They will do this in frozen water or just very cold water. But in this case, the water was frozen. They look like they're dead sticking out of the water, but they're not. Only their snouts and front teeth poke through the ice. It allows them to breathe. So what it does is it gives them reduced energy use. So alligators' body temperature decreases, so they're using less energy. And animals exhibit patterns like this, like nesting. Like I have 3 little Pomeranians that when I was posting on social media, all of you know my dogs, Lily, Daisy, and Rose, these tiny little Pomeranians. Yet they do this thing where they dig, that digging thing where they're nesting before they sit down. They've never observed this anywhere else. It's innate to them that they do it. And so animals exhibit these patterns like nesting, even if they've never experienced it before, because these behaviors are largely hardwired into their genetics. Could that also be true to some extent with humans? Meaning their innate instincts are passed down through the evolutionary process. And by the way, I'm a Christian. That doesn't mean that evolution isn't still taking place. In fact, the Bible talks about the sins of the father and the impact that that can have on their children or grandchildren. So there's some correlation here. And it's going to make a point for me in a minute whether I'm right about it or not anyway. Okay. And by the way, I'm not a scholar of theology, nor am I a scientist, but I could tell you that the evolution is happening even if you are a believer like I am. And I have to tell you, I've watched my dogs do this digging and nesting thing, and they've never seen it before. These alligators have never been in cold temperatures before, yet they begin to default to a behavior that's in their cellular memory. So what's the key points about this? Number one, it's an innate behavior. And then once again, thinking about you and humans, this means the behavior is present from birth and doesn't require learning or experience to perform. And maybe there's a genetic basis for it. The genes an animal inherits determine its instinctive behaviors, including nesting patterns. And it kind of gives them an advantage to survive. Over time, animals that exhibited nesting, like what my dogs or birds on my island do, they respond to environmental cues like the need to protect their young. Like the eagles that are on my island. I have a bald eagle couple that just had babies. They have these innate things. They've never had babies before, that they know how to do the nesting. They know to protect the nest. They know when one leaves, the other one flies and sort of does protection. My dogs do this circular nesting. Even if a dog's never seen that before, you might have a dog that does it as well. They can exhibit this behavior. So how does that relate to humans? Could we be exhibiting behaviors that are even deeper than what we experienced as children? That are somehow remembered in our cellular memory or even in our DNA potentially? And is there even scriptural reference that sort of validates that there's an impact that you're on your behavior right now? Here's what I'm suggesting. Your behavior right now, your emotions, which you're experiencing right now, okay? Could it be potentially affecting children of yours that aren't even born yet? There's a lot of data that supports the behaviors and emotions that a pregnant woman goes through and how that can be transferred to the fetus. And so, Corinthians talks about the sins of the father. It's very interesting to me how deep maybe patterns can go, is my point to you. Is that, maybe we've just scratched the surface with, I had trauma as a kid. I observed this behavior, or my parents weren't dreamers, so I'm not. All that stuff's relevant, and you're doing an all of analysis of that. But what if, even if you figured all that out, there's deeper patterns? And you'll never understand those. So is it then most incumbent upon us to just build from where we are? I think is my point. And also, maybe you have a responsibility, if you think about it. As a believer, I know this, that my emotions, my memories I create, my behaviors have an impact on my children and my unborn grandchildren. Now we're finding out that science validates this as well. And so you don't just have an obligation to you, my friend, to live a better life, to live more joyous, to live more prosperous, to live with more peace and bliss, and to contribute more. That obligation isn't just to you, and it's not even just to the people that you're serving. It's to your offspring. It's to maybe people in your family you'll never meet before. If these alligators know this from their granddad and great-grandmother, what are you giving your great-grandchildren someday? What makes a leader? It's a tough question, but one thing's for sure. A true leader leads by example, and a true leader takes risks too. They plunge into life with determination. For those who lead by example and who approach life with a palpable passion, there's the Range Rover Sport. Each Range Rover Sport model offers a dynamic, sophisticated take on sporting luxury. The Range Rover Sport offers focused on-road performance and world-renowned off-road capability with industry-leading features like adaptive off-road cruise control that monitors ground conditions and acclimates to the present terrain. Agility, control, and composure are achieved with dynamic air suspension, and adaptive dynamics reduces unwanted body movements to deliver smooth and composed handling. True sophistication and excellent maneuverability, all in a seriously stylish package. Sophisticated refinement meets visceral power in the Range Rover Sport, a new dimension of sporting luxury. Build your Range Rover Sport at LandRoverUSA.com. All right before I came in here, you know what I did? I mixed my AG1s. I do my AG1s drink now 3 times a day because it energizes me, alkalizes my blood. I love AG1. Of all the products that have sponsored our show, the one I have used the most long-term, I would probably say is AG1. I love it. It's part of my wellness journey. It's increased my energy. It's helped me with my sleep. I got to be honest with you. It also has a calming sense in my body when I drink AG1.
It's never too late to create a new healthy habit for 2025. So try AG1 for yourself. It's something I've actually been able to stay consistent with, and that's why I'm so excited to be partnering with AG1. And AG1 is offering new subscribers a free $76 gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packs in your first box. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com/Ed Mylett to get this offer. That's drinkag1.com/Ed Mylett to start your new year on a healthier note.
You ever wonder, like, certain thoughts or emotions you have that you're like, I actually didn't see my mom or dad have those. I don't know where I got this from. Well, maybe it was from somewhere else, and it's some sort of cellular memory. Maybe, right? I meet people all the time that say they feel deep emotions, and sometimes they think they've lived past lives. Well, maybe you did, but could it also be that you have some cellular memory, that there was a heightened emotional experience of your great-grandfather in a war, and so when you watch war movies, it makes you emotional? I don't know. And I don't need to know, is my point. I'm not going to spend my entire life in analysis. Too many of you are. There just becomes a point in your life where reflection is awesome, okay? Like one thing they say at the end of this article, I just want to read this to you. This is from the actual article about the alligators, and this is why it stood out to me. Watch this. This isn't about alligators. This is about you and me. The key to life is adaptation. Who better to show this than the American alligator? Alligator in ice in 2025. Open weekends. Come see us. That's from the Swamp Park. The key to life is adaptation. And I really believe that. It's adapting to what you inherited. It's adapting to what you witnessed as a child. It's adapting to the problem you're going through right now. It's adaptation. If alligators can adapt to the cold and innately know to stick their snout out and almost freeze to death, but they don't die to save energy, they can adapt to that environment. Your dogs can adapt, and you've adapted a bunch of other times in your life. Well, then that's the key. The key is not understanding everything about yourself that may not be understandable. And again, I am very much, you can watch other podcasts of mine, a fan of reflection, of having an experience. What did that mean to me? What did I learn from it? How can I grow? That is very different than constantly analyzing my trauma, trying to work through every single issue I've ever had in my life. And I believe there's some benefit to working through certain things. But I also believe at some point you draw a line and say, I'm going to build a new foundation. I also think that many of you that already have momentum and success are going to give in to the current pattern you're in because it's got you what you got. But you won't change the pattern. You won't change the routine. You won't change the structure to go to the next level. I want to start again with what I opened with. I want to restate it. No matter where you are in your life, you're a new structure, a new behavior, a new habit, a new routine, a new way of thinking from going to the next level. Not figuring it all out from the past. And again, I'm a big fan of, learning from the past and growing from it. But there has to become a point where so many people have the problem. I'll talk about it on another podcast here soon, or looking to the future. They future travel all the time. That's one challenge in life. I think I suffer from that. I'm a dreamer. I'm a visionary. I'm always looking forward to the next moment, the next thing, the next achievement, the next award, the next accolade. That's a problem in life. But also so is the rear view mirror. The rearview mirror of, well, this happened. That person let me down. This business partner screwed me over. My mom didn't love me right. My dad didn't do this. How long are you going to keep telling that story, my friend? I say this to you as somebody, nothing I cover on the show is not things I've made mistakes on or done myself. But you're going to go down this rabbit hole of all your trauma and all the mistakes and all the people that hurt you. I'm starting to believe that some of that stuff definitely affected you, and I'm not so sure stuff that happened before you were even born is affecting you in some form of cellular memory or just emotions passed down in families. But if you look at the animal world, it's pretty obvious and pretty evident that there are things we never have observed, we have never seen before, that can impact our behavior. Now, how much time are you going to spend analyzing that one? Right? At some point, you got to go, okay, I have an understanding of who I am, who I want to be, what my vision for my life is. And what you do is you begin with these steps right here. Okay? And let me just say this to you. You create a new structure. That structure serves you. That structure makes a difference. That structure takes you to the new level. If I can speak candidly, I know what structures I had to make $100,000 a year. Okay? I know what those thoughts were. I know what those behaviors were. I know what my patterns were. Okay? They are not the same structures, same thoughts, same patterns that got me to $1 million a year. And when I got to $1 million a year, if we're just looking at income, I knew intuitively that those, and by the way, I never learned any of those thoughts or patterns because in my family because no one had ever made that money before. Okay, so I didn't learn those, I created them. And then I prayed for blessing and vision. And then when I made $1 million a year, I intuitively knew, which most people don't. For me to go make $10 million a year, that would not be the same patterns, thoughts, behaviors, and habits and routines as the guy making $1 million a year. But what's so interesting for so many people is they do change patterns and behaviors, most people, to get to a place they're not. But then when they get to the next place, they somehow trick themselves, BS themselves into, I'll just keep doing this. And somehow these same thoughts, same behaviors, same structures, same routines are going to get me to more, to get me higher. That is not the case. The same way of thinking that got you where you are isn't going to get you out of it, good or bad. If where you are is a bad spot, that same thinking, that same pattern, that same structure isn't going to get you out. And if you're in a pretty good place, but you want to go to the next one, that same thinking ain't going to get you out of here to the next one. It's all about the structure you build. Okay. So yes, that's where reflection comes in. Reflection is what thoughts and behaviors do I need to continue to take with me? What routines do I need to continue to take with me? Which ones do I need to adopt or adapt? And which ones do I need to drop? That's what reflection means. Reflection is not, let me think about everything that's ever gone wrong. Let me think about every problem from my childhood. Let me think about every business thing that's gone the wrong way or every mistake I've made or compare myself to everybody else. That's not what it means. And so we've become this sort of, I want to call it almost like a therapy society. And again, I want to be careful because there are benefits to this, significant benefits. But like anything, you can overdo it. Having a glass of wine is not so bad. Having 8 is really bad. You've overdone it, right? Having a dream about the future and your vision is a really good thing. Constantly living in the future isn't. Reflecting on your past and mistakes you've made or lessons that you caught that are the wrong ones from mom or dad or a teacher or a coach, that's healthy. Spending a lot of time there, more than you do in the present, terribly detrimental. Habits and routines that got you where you are, that's pretty darn good right now. Just celebrating where you are right now ain't going to get you to the next place. And so, yes, reflection and awareness matters. Okay. But you can have analysis paralysis. And I think most people are. I think most people, the thing that's plaguing them right now is a lot of this analysis of why am I where I am? What's wrong with me? I've got to fix this about me. I'm broken. What if you're not so broken? What if you're really great the way you are, but you want to grow and get better? What if the things that have happened to you in life that there's some lesson that serves you in there, but it only serves you if you create change with it? And I'm relatively sure now at this stage of my life that the sins of the father do impact the children and grandchildren, and that there is cellular memory, and that we have patterns and behaviors and thoughts and genetics, and what could be in our gut microbiome, in our brain, a certain chemistry that we're not in control of, that is somehow genetically passed through us on a cellular level over time, just like it does with these alligators, just like it does with these dogs. And it's our ability to adapt to our surroundings, adapt to our situation, adaptation, our ability to adapt to a new economy and a new world. You know, there's a bunch of people super excited about the guy that was just elected. You need to adapt. There's a bunch of people not excited that think the world's coming to an end. You need to adapt. Those same people are excited about the guy that's in now. We're really bummed about the guy that was in before, and it was their ability to adapt or not adapt that determined their future. Those of you that aren't happy about it, it's your ability to adapt or not adapt. If something comes your way, I've had plenty of things in my life. And by the way, the journey to get to 10 million, to get to $100 million net worth or $500 million net worth, and forget money. How about this? The journey that got me to in pretty good shape isn't going to get me shredded, isn't going to get me jacked, isn't going to give me energy. It's a new adaptation, a new routine, a new set of supplements that's going to get me to live longer and have cognition and be more flexible. So the same things that got me in shape at 25 from being fat to being fit won't get me to the next level of fitness. We all know this when it comes to our bodies, right? But somehow our external life or our mind isn't renewed, isn't refreshed. So build a new structure, right? Create new routines, new habits, new thoughts, new associations, new people around you, new things you're learning. Maybe for some of you that's your first time listening to my podcast, listen to the best podcast in the world on this stuff on a regular basis. I will push you. I will encourage you. I won't placate you. I will tell you the truth. I will care about you. I will believe in you. I pray for millions of people every night. And I'll give you information that's tested. I've actually done in my own life. You're not listening or watching a podcast as someone who just, made it up. I built businesses. I built a pretty good life. I know a little bit about this. And what I really know a lot about is mistakes and errors, right? And I know how to save you the time that I've wasted on future travel, that I've wasted on looking back to my childhood, that I've gone overboard in those areas. The proverb I talk about on the show all the time, Chinese proverb, if you want to know the road ahead, ask those coming back. Here's all I am. I'm a guy coming back. I've been down the road a little bit. I don't have all the answers, but I've made enough of mistakes and made a couple good moves too that I can save you the time and the energy and the pain of me reflecting on my own life. I want to say something to you. As a believer, what if all of this has just a purpose? What if rather than trying to analyze everything that's happening to you, you accept something, that there was a purpose to it, that there was a reason it happened? What if you accept that you were born for a reason? And the most important part of life is figuring out what that reason is. Not why all these people hurt you, or not why you're in the situation you're in now. Even if you knew the answers to that, how does that help you? What if you just accepted, I was born for a reason, and no matter how successful you are, there's a bigger mission, there's a bigger calling. You are only still here, in my opinion. He would have already called you home. You're only still here because you have a bigger reason and a bigger mission and a bigger purpose. 170,000 people in the world didn't wake up today. Their journey's over here on earth. Their mission is ceased. Yours hasn't. You've been given another day, no matter how dark it is right now, because there's a purpose to you. There's a mission. No matter how much failure, how many setbacks, how much hurt. What if you just accepted I have a purpose and a mission? I was born for a reason. By the way, no matter how much success you've had, if you've had success, there's still a purpose and a mission for you. What if you just accepted that? What if all that pain, all that heartache wasn't for nothing? What if God was whispering to you right now, everything you've been through, it wasn't for nothing? You don't need to understand all of it. You'll understand all of it someday when you're with me. But for now, you've got a mission and a purpose. What if you could hear God saying to you, whatever you believe, I've never left you alone. I've always been by your side. I will never leave you nor forsake you. I will always be with you. I will never give you more than you're capable of handling. What if you could hear that message right now? I'm always going to give you a mission and a purpose. You were born to help other people. What if you could accept that if God was saying that to you? What if God said to you, thank you for loving me because I love you so much. Thank you for believing in me. I'll make sure there's a harvest for you. I'll make sure that you will reap the things that you sow. And what if that just gave you a little bit of comfort of knowing you're always guided? Someone's always got their hand on your life. Someone's always praying for you. And here's the biggie. Somebody always needs you. Did you know that someone needs you right now? Yes, you. No matter how low you are, no matter how dark it is, no matter how bleak it is, somebody needs you. And that's why you're still here. You got to pick yourself up and you got to say, okay, I need new analysis. I need new structure. I need to stop analyzing so darn much. I need to take some risks. I need to put myself out there. I need to start clean. I need a new routine, some new habits, some new thoughts, some new associations. I got to feed myself some new good stuff on a regular basis. When you begin to do that and you just hear God tell you, I'll never leave you. I'm always by your side. You're never alone. Just remember that, everybody. You're never alone. I'm not preaching to you. And I can tell you this, there's people like me in the world that care about you, that really believe that the way the world changes is good people lock arms and good people get to work on contributing and helping other people in their lives. That the key to change in the world is not some leader of some type, but it's grassroots. It's good people every day saying, I can help you. Here's my lesson. My test was my testimony. I really believe this, that you're most capable of helping the man or woman you used to be. So if you used to be down and depressed and frustrated and now you're not so much, you can help those people that are. If you used to not have a vision for your life and now you do, you can help those people. If you used to not know something about the product or service that you represent in your business and now you do, you can help all those people that don't know about it. If you used to not know God and now you do, you can help those that don't, right? If you used to not think you could get out of this dark place and now you have, you can help people that are in that place. You know, there's so many reasons for you to be here. And you're going to lose if you keep playing checkers. You have to play chess. You have to get strategic. You got to get a game plan. You got to get focused. You got to have that overriding belief. And you can't be just moved every single day by the whims of everybody else. And I can promise you're not going to win by looking back at past games that you won or lost. You got to be fully present and have a vision for your future. Anyway, I'm a big believer in this whole idea that if the alligators can do it, if our dogs can do it, if the eagles can do it, man's and woman's capacity is so much greater than anything else in this world. And I really believe God will never leave you. He's always by your side. And you know what? I'll be around next week too. See if I can't kick in a little bit to help you. All right? God bless you, everybody. Max out. Have a beautiful week.